Thank you, Eli. That was a great talk about your employees. We really appreciate your sharing all of those specifics and lessons learned over time. We have one question at present, and this is from Doug. He asks, do you use any contract Hispanic labor crews from Washington State?
Not specifically from Washington. The guys that we're bringing in are from the Kuski area here in Idaho. So we're bringing them in this year as contract laborers. We'll pay the company that is over those guys. We're going to pay the company directly, and then the company will pay them. So they keep all the immigration papers and meet all the regulations on the immigration side, and we just pay them a little bit extra for that hassle. But it avoids us for being in any peculiar situations or have to follow any extra regulations as far as the immigration goes.
Thank you. That's all of the questions that we had right now. So
okay, well, I appreciate this opportunity, and again, if anyone has questions, feel free to call or email me, and I'd love to help you out if I could.
Great. Thank you so much. Ken? You'll have to unmute yourself. Oh, and
there I go.
You know, Eli, just before you go, we had one question just come through, if I can grab you for a minute. It says, Eli, you mentioned that you are hiring guys, any gals, or is that like drugs too distracting for your work crews?
Sometimes it makes you wonder, but we do hire a lot of female employees, whether they're girls or women. Some of those are high school. We bring in high school kids, so we have high school boys and girls. And then we also have female workers on the farm at all times, basically. Sheila is my #1 assistant here in the office and out in the field. Obviously, she's a woman, and I think it's a great opportunity to have the benefits of women around. They have a different eye and a different opinion on a lot of things that can really help out. Some of our work is very physical, and it's a little extra hard on them. So I try to move them into positions or parts of the operation where it's a little bit easier for them without being too judgmental or restricting them in any way. But I do try to soften their workload a little bit. But I definitely appreciate any females that we have on site and the value that they bring.
Thank you. Okay, Ken.
Okay. I'll just pipe in a little bit, just sharing a little bit on the female-male thing that I was going to totally avoid, but since Eli went there. I've talked to quite a few farmers over the years, and you know, a lot of them have credited hiring high school girls or female employees as truck drivers and such in harvest because they're much more careful with the equipment than the boys are, and they don't tear stuff up near as much, and very reliable workers. So go girl.
Great.
Go get who's out there working in the fields. Just a couple of those follow-ups on the questions. On workman's comp, I can't find any dollar exemption. The exemptions relate to your employees who live with you, family members who live with you are exempt. Certain family members in a sole proprietorship can be exempt even if they don't live with you, but you have to file a separate form for that. And a casual employee who's maybe just there for a day to do some job not related to your main form of business. So they're there to wash the windows on your house, something like that. They're exempt from workers' compensation insurance. So the exemptions, I didn't find a dollar exemption. So you know, if you just hired a kid for a couple days of haying, according to what I found, they should be covered. And the insurance is rated by the activity that they're involved in, so it's a certain cost per $100 of wages and and it's rated by activity. So you can go to the website and find out more about that. And then piping in just a little bit of what Eli answered as far as the housing goes. There's some IRS information about non-cash wages, and they can be a variety of things. One thing that's used pretty commonly in farm family agriculture is payment of commodities or crops in lieu of wages. And so my father-in-law used to say, okay, that field's yours, and I could go sell that crop. I didn't have to pay any of the costs. I could just, this was before I was leasing the farm, and I'd just go sell the crop. I would get the income from it, and it would be reported as a non-cash wage, but it is not subject to Medicare or Social Security tax. It's only subject to income tax, and any of those non-cash wages items are only subject to income tax, not Social Security and Medicare tax. So that can be a significant tax savings, and you can look into that further if you look at the appropriate IRS documents. Okay, I want to use just my bit of time left to talk a little bit about farm-family business relationships. And many of you probably have family members involved. We're going to have just a quick poll here. You can read it there. Our family business communication skills are excellent, average, or need improvement. So if you'll vote.
Quick voters here. We have 3/4 of our participants have voted. I'll just give it a couple more seconds before I close the poll, so if you'd like to record your vote. Okay, I'm going to close the poll and share the results. So 17% say excellent, 50% average, and 33% say they need to do some improvement.
Good, thank you. Back, okay, next slide. And we'll talk a little bit about those communication skills as we go along here. You know, one thing I've always thought about, having been involved in a farm family, I mentioned I was the outlaw, married into a farm family. My father-in-law had he was a grain farmer, and he had a cattle herd, and he had 3 farms, and one in Idaho, one in Oregon, one in Washington. We always kind of kidded that it was a perfect family farm situation because our farms were 100 miles from each other, so we weren't in each other's back pocket, but we could still go to help each other, and we constantly did that. I had to go help in harvest at near Enterprise, Oregon, outside of Asotin, up at Cloverland, Washington, and then they would come help us up at weii. I've seen, you know, the best and the worst of that, I think, in my lifetime. I've seen how family members can really help each other, and I've seen some of the worst as far as treatment of each other. Something I like to think of is if we treat family employees as you would treat your most valued non-family employee, then those family employees in your family business are more likely to treat you as family. If you're going to rag on them, and it's unfortunate, but it happens in families that we treat our families worse than sometimes we treat our own, wouldn't treat employees, then they're not going to treat you like family. So this is, farm family business is a unique situation because the family and the business, farm family business life, it's all intertwined. It's right on site, and it's thrilling really to be part of that because it's a lifestyle. Sure, it's a business. It has to be profitable, but it is really a lifestyle, a choice that many people make because they really enjoy farm life, ranch life, and the challenges. They're happy to put up with them because they really enjoy that type of lifestyle. family pride and history is an important part of it. I remember a book I read called Fields Without Dreams, and the guy was a raisin producer, and he would talk about the family voices whispering over his shoulder of generations past saying, we did it, you can do it too. And that really drives and provides a lot of incentive for work on a farm. The history, generational history of the family, and the participants in the family really does, the more they know about that and appreciate it, it really does help create, well, the family culture for the farm. A lot of the family culture comes from the leadership of the family, in some cases the parents or whoever's actually in control of assets oftentimes is the leader of the family farm business. Matching the farm business needs with the family strengths, and what I'm trying to get at there is that if you're only employing family labor, likely, I mean, you're just not going to be able to cover all of the business needs of the farm. And so even if you don't hire labor, you can contract labor, and those can be things like lawyers, accountants, advisors. You can fill some of those needs by even coming to extension meetings, or you're filling some of those needs by taking this course on the webinar situation. The family farm business structure, I think it really needs to be, you really need to focus on providing an opportunity for family members to grow through it. On our own farm, we don't have any children living there. We don't live there full time. And so there's a lot of opportunity, I think, for someone in our family, or if that doesn't happen, someone that we bring into the business. But I think it's very important that you're careful to structure that opportunity so that it's positive. One of my wife's siblings is quick to point out that he never went to college. He stayed home and farmed, whereas all the rest of the kids went to college. And you know, he feels a certain amount of hindrance in his own personal growth because of that. You want to make sure and avoid that if possible, and instead try and structure the farm family business in a way that provides everybody opportunity to grow. You know, it's a risky business out there. We've got health problems can affect. A lot of our farms have a very limited number of workers, and if I remember one year we were farming, we were haying, and I was as sick as I could possibly be, and my wife was too. I think it must have been some kind of virus. This was I don't know, 10 years ago. And after one day in bed when I should have been out there working, I drug myself up, and I remember pulling myself up on that tractor. But there just wasn't anybody else available to do it, so you had to get out there and do it. And weather risk, personnel risk as far as family problems, divorce, or even deaths in the family and things without adequate planning, they all present a real challenge for families. And it's a challenge enough for a family for these things, but when there's a business involved too and livelihoods involved, it's an exciting place to be, but it is also a challenging place to be. And the better I think that we can manage ourselves and our position in family businesses, we'll have more success in our families also. The next slide.